Hey everybody, Bart from Bicycle Rider YouTube. I have spent the day in the back of the bicycle shop, Biloxi Bicycle Works, pretty much primarily working on e-bikes, all models of e-bikes. Before I went home this evening, I wanted to tell you about why I think Serial 1, powered by Harley-Davidson, is one of the best e-bikes out on the market. Why they have solved a lot of the issues of things I was back there fixing all day. Stick around for a few minutes and let me tell you why I have a good opinion of this from a bicycle mechanic that does work on e-bikes. Like I said, I am in Biloxi Bicycle Works. This is a bicycle shop I own, and I am a Serial 1 dealer. I will work on any e-bike that needs some help. I have to throw some caveats in there because some of the e-bikes that come through my door have systems, electrical systems, motor systems, battery systems that just don't support bicycle shops. They're sold, a lot of these are sold on the internet-based bikes. People walk in here all the time with those bikes, and I would love to help them. If you know me, I love to get people on bikes. I don't segregate. It doesn't matter if you bought it here, if you bought it somewhere else. I don't turn down that work. I like to get people on bikes. But honestly, there's so many problems that a bicycle shop can't fix. If you've bought an off-brand e-bike and you think that we can repair your battery, that we can repair your controller, we can repair your brand of motor that we have no idea what it is, that's really just not conceivable. For one, though most of these companies do not provide any documentation on what we're working on. There's also liability issues. My insurance company does not want me cutting into some unbranded wiring harness and trying to wire some battery that's not URL certified. So just know that a lot of times a bicycle shop is tied with liability issues and just time-consuming issues. I mean, if I have to research what's in a motor and then try to charge a customer accordingly, it doesn't weigh out. Especially a lot of these bargain e-bikes, you know, things that are under $1,000 or really right now under $50. You can find a good e-bike for under $1,500. Something that supports bicycle shops and supports bicycle mechanics, gives us the tools and the modules to work on those bikes. You know, let me know. As a dealer of e-bikes, believe me, I'm always looking for a model of e-bike that satisfies my customers, but also doesn't keep coming through my doors with a lot of warranty issues, a lot of problems. Harley-Davidson and Serial 1 have done a great job of putting a rock-solid e-bike together with a lot of usable features and a lot of technology that really solves some of the major problems with e-bikes. A lot of times I see the bicycle portion of the e-bike is what's failing. Truthfully, a lot of the motors, a lot of the batteries, a lot of the management systems are fairly solid, even though I can't fix a lot of unbranded e-bikes because I just don't have the specs and the tools and even a manual of what's included and the time consuming into trying to learn that stuff, like I said, would equal the customer a really big bill on a bike that they probably didn't spend that much money on anyway. And it's hard to say $700, $900 isn't a lot of money. But when you are looking at something that's supposed to propel you across town or across the city on a vacation at 20 plus miles an hour safely, you really have to put that $900, $1,000 in perspective. To get a bike with this many parts and this much technology into the end user's hands at a bargain basement, believe me, they've skimped somewhere. They might have skimped a lot of places. I see a lot of stuff come through my door because, like I said, I am that shop that does accept e-bikes. A lot of times I have got to tell people, when you bring an unbranded e-bike, something I don't know what it is, if you want to drop that off at my shop and have me go through the bicycle portion of that, systems trying to tune up the brakes, trying to, straighten bent wheels, out of true wheels, try to get it to shift gears properly, I'm going to ask you to take that battery out. I can't have that battery in my shop and having it cause a fire. And believe me, that's a real concern with a lot of cheaply made e-bikes. I can work on the bicycle portion of that, but I can't really do, like I said, I can't do a lot with the functionality of the motors, the batteries, the control systems, because I'm flying blind. Those companies do not give out information on how to fix that. There's no wiring harnesses I can plug in, and believe me, I'm not cutting into a wiring harness and starting splicing stuff on some bike that I don't know. I know bicycle's really good. The bicycle portion of a lot of these bargain basement e-bikes, unbranded e-bikes, are a problem. A lot of the problem does come from high-powered motors that we require in the U.S. People come in here and the first question they want to ask is how fast, how powerful. To me, those are not the most important questions anymore. Most of these e-bikes are topping out about 20 miles an hour for certain classes. 20 miles an hour is plenty fast enough to get you across town. Some of the more powerful e-bikes go up to 28 miles an hour, and I think that's where legislation pretty much cuts them off. Over 28 miles an hour is where they say, hey, we don't want to call this a bicycle anymore. 20 miles an hour is great. A 20 mile an hour bike with a 500, 600 watt hour battery will last for a long time. You can, 40 to 60 to 80 miles, depending on how much pressure you're putting in the pedal. Main power, 750 watt peak. And to get those in those price ranges of the under $2,000, they're putting a regular bicycle transmission on it. Bicycle transmissions and gears and derailleurs that I sell on a $500 or $600 bike, those buyers never put 750 watts into a derailleur, into a bicycle chain. And if you look at the difference between a bicycle chain and a motorcycle chain, there is a big difference. Most of the e-bikes in the $2,000 range have a bicycle chain, a derailleur, and a shifter. The shifter is not computer controlled. You're supposed to know when to shift gears and when not to. It's not like your computer controlled transmission in your car that if you do something crazy, it stops you from doing it. Here it's a barbaric system. You push the shifter pulls the cable moves the derailleur, and the derailleur does just that. It derails the chain from one gear onto another gears on a series of ramps. And if you happen to do that at the wrong time, with basically a derailleur that's not made for that, a chain that's not made for it, it equals problems. A lot of the problems I have to fix are wear problems or misshift problems. Harley-Davidson has developed a belt drive. They've been doing it on their motorcycles for years. This is not a rubber band. This is a carbon Gates belt. Stuff that's in your timing chain of your engine that can last 100,000+ miles and keeps your engine timed and keeps your pistons from, hitting your valves. And I mean, that's what we drive every day. And of course, Harley-Davidson's been putting belts on their motorcycles for a long time, so they understand the longevity of a belt. Belts are also clean. As this is a bike I just got done riding. We got caught in a rainstorm, so thank you, 01, for putting great fenders on here, because I just escaped a rainstorm without getting soaking wet. Great fenders. On a side note, the fenders are all mounted with a rubber bushing to stop vibration, to stop noise. Once again, Harley has done that for years on their motorcycles, and they're bringing that technology right into the bicycle. So let me go back to the belt drive. With the belt drive, you don't have a derailleur that's being snaked through some pulleys. And what you do get is an NVOLA automatic transmission, which is basically a CVT transmission. Gives you a great amount of gear ranges, and it makes it super smooth. It also makes it so my customers don't have to think about shifting gears. They can get on this bike and they can ride this bike without a lot of problems. This solves many of the maintenance issues that I see with current with current e-bikes. I am talking about rear hub drive motors, but that also equates into, you know, mid-drive motors as well, because most of those are running on, once again, a bicycle transmission, that chain, and a derailleur. Some people say, look, I just won't shift gears. That causes problems too, because you're wearing out one or two gears basically. Let's say most people are running in a really high gear. That means you're running in a 11 tooth, 12 tooth, 13 tooth sprocket rather than a 23 or a 32, something like that with more teeth on it. You're running in a sprocket over and over again, and you're wearing out that 14 tooth. You're also stretching the chain. So just think, if you're going to solve the problem of missed shifts by just using the motor power and not shifting your derailleur, you're causing a lot of premature wear there too. The bicycle is made to be a human-powered vehicle. That human power really needs a lot of gear ranges to make it efficient. When you mate an electric motor to that, all of a sudden, you know, you don't need as much human power, and the power of these, you know, electric motors is pretty strong, and it will propel you fast in just about any gear you want to go. So just know, shifting gears is a good thing, but you've got to do it correctly. That's one of the reasons it's paramount to buy these bikes from a bicycle shop rather than just get them shipped to your house in a box. One, because the assembly process is tedious. Most of these manufacturers say it right there, you're going to void your warranty if you don't bring this to a bicycle shop to have them put together. A lot of bicycle shops just don't want to dive into it. I do, so I see the good, the bad, and everything in between on a lot of these bikes. Some of them have such cheap bicycle parts, brakes that are paper thin, and they're supposed to stop a big heavy e-bike. I mean, that's one of the biggest complaints I get is, can you do something about these brakes? I can tune them brakes. My mechanics can tune the brakes about as good as the manufacturer designs them, but they still are not great. You know, Harley-Davidson Serial 1 has put 4-piston hydraulic brakes on this bike with 203 millimeter rotors. This bike does not have a problem stopping. Some people I hear say, look, why do you need to stop? At 20 miles an hour, believe me, you need to have good brakes. A lot of people buying these bikes are, you know, to buy them for health and fitness and get around town. If you've let your fitness go over the years and you have some extra weight, sometimes it is hard to get on a regular pedal bicycle and pedal 100% of the time. With a smooth motor like the Bros motor that they have in this bike, it makes it very manageable to build your health and fitness at time. You can have fun doing it. And I see a lot of people, a lot of success stories with e-bikes, especially e-bikes that have more of a manageable power system. And Harley-Davidson, Serial 1, and Viola, Bros have all combined to give you a fantastic power management system that lets you dial in your power as much or as little as you want. It lets you work on cadence. A lot of e-bikes are designed for an 80 plus cadence. I'm a cyclist. 80 plus cadence comes natural to me. I help hundreds of people a month get on bikes, and people do not do 80 cadence. They love that 60, 70. It's a very low cadence, and it's not efficient for e-bikes. You can tune this to your cadence. A lot of that has to do with the Viola automatic transmission. It has to do with the app that's coming on this. And that's a very important part of the process I'd like to explain too. Right now there's 2 versions of the Serial 1. That's the original version, which is a good bike. It's a solid bike. And there's version 2. Version 2 is one that, you know, includes the cloud. And people say, well, why do I need the cloud? This bike talks to the cloud. It gives you a lot of data, a lot of information. They do include a cell phone charger on this bike. And you put your cell phone up here, and the cloud lets you use Google Maps. It lets you route onto bicycle-specific routes. They're not going to route you up onto a highway or a 4-lane road that's dangerous. It's awesome having Google Cloud, Google Maps. All that data comes together to make this a very pleasant experience for the end user. Some of the serial ones you're going to see going on sale, they don't explain to you that's version 1. That doesn't include the cloud and some of the very important functionality that you might want. It's August 2022. Don't buy an older model when you can buy the new model that does things just so much better. Be careful of those going on sale. The genuine Harley-Davidson Serial 1 dealer is following MAP policies. They set the prices of these bikes. It's very transparent. You can look on the internet, look at their site. That price is what you buy this bike for. And if you buy it at a bike shop, you're getting the right size. These come in multiple sizes. We professionally fit people to the correct size bike all the time. When you're making a $5,000 investment, you want to get the right size bike, and it's not just seat height. You know, there's a lot to do with leg to torso ratio, with reach, with longevity of keeping yourself comfortable. If you're making this investment, and then when I tell you about that investment, $5,000 for a bike with all of these features is a good price. When you compare it to some of the nicer e-bikes out there, you get a bike that is just not going to give you problems. You're going to get a bike that, if for some reason we did have an issue, we've got Serial 1, we've got Harley-Davidson, we have backing to get these problems fixed. Some of these e-bikes coming, I try to do research how to help people fix their motors and stuff. I can't even pronounce half these motors that are coming in, and I don't know where to go to get any resources for trying to help people fix a motor. So you're stuck with a boat anchor. Because if you bought it on the internet, you're dealing with some customer service somewhere. You're not dealing face to face with a bike shop owner like myself. I can't sell junk, and I'm proud to sell this, because when I put this in someone's hand and I'm looking them eye to eye when I'm selling this bike, I can sell them a good bike. I can sell them a bike I can teach them how to use really easy. I can sell them a bike that they're not going to make misshifts, and they're not going to be dropping chains, and they're not going to be getting greasy and dirty with a bicycle chain. They're going to get on this bike and they're going to have fun. They're going to find their health and fitness. They're going to get around town. They're going to do everything that this bike is made to do. When you're dreaming about, hey, I want to get an e-bike and I want to have these adventures, this is a great bike for it. This is, like I said, this is the Rush City step-through model. It's a very comfortable bike. I'm a 5'9" guy, and this is a medium size. Believe me, you can't just stand next to this bike and hit the seat here and say it's the right size. There's a lot to do with your reach and your torso. So, I've bought Harley-Davidson motorcycles for years. I've went to the Harley-Davidson dealer, and they've always treated me good. If you're going to buy one of these Harley-Davidson Serial 1 e-bikes, think about buying it from an authorized bicycle shop. We are familiar with bicycles. If I was going to go buy a new Harley-Davidson motorcycle, I'd go to the dealership. If you're going to buy a new Harley-Davidson Serial 1 bike, come to the bike shop. If you don't have a Serial 1 dealer in your area, you can hit us up. Ask me some questions. I work in the bike shop all day long. I'm easy to find. I'd be glad to help you out. And if you do have a Harley-Davidson Serial 1 dealer in your area, go use them for some resources. Definitely don't want to buy these, you can't buy this bike from a rinky-dink business anyway, but you can buy a lot of rinky-dink e-bikes off the internet and from guys on the side of the road or Facebook Marketplace. I mean, the e-bike market is hot, but believe me, I just spent all day working in the bicycle shop, and my heart goes out to these people that spend $1,000 on a piece of junk that you can't fix. This bike is pretty solid, but if you did have a problem, I, as a bicycle shop, have got the backing of Serial 1. I've got the backing of Harley-Davidson. They don't want to taint their name, and they're going to make sure I get the parts and whatever I need to make sure you keep riding and you talk good about this bike and you talk good about this brand. So I'm going to go do a deep dive later with the different specs of this bike, with the tire size, with the motor, with the battery. But believe me, the 530 watt hour battery they put in this bike, people worried, am I going to have to carry a charger with me? No, you can ride this bike for 40 to 60 to 80 miles and charge it up overnight and you're ready to go again. You can charge it up once in a weekend because really if you think about doing 20 miles on a bicycle, that's a long time. Most people who don't ride a lot of bikes, your butt is going to be tired of being on a seat after 20 miles. And they did put a comfortable seat on this bike, but I put a lot of miles on a bike, so I'm kind of used to that. But this is a whole different situation, and we are here to help you. If you have any questions on Serial One, on Harley-Davidson, on e-bikes in general, believe me, I work on a lot of e-bikes, and I'll be glad to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Don't ask me to name names and name brands. Is this a good brand? Is that a bad brand? Look logically at the price you're paying for that bike. If you're buying an e-bike for under $1,500, you're probably not getting a great bike. Good things cost money. This bike is $5,000, and to me it's worth every penny of it because you're going to get on this bike, you're going to boost your fitness, you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're not going to have a lot of problems. Probably hardly have any problems at all. You're going to just ride this bike and be happy. If you buy it from a bike shop, if you buy it from Biloxi Bicycle Works, believe me, I'm going to make your buying experience special. I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. I'm going to make sure you've got the knowledge that you need before you walk out that door. So they really did a great job with this bike, and like I said, that's why I figured I'd do this video tonight. If you do watch the Bicycle Rider YouTube, like and subscribe so I can prove to YouTube that people are watching my channel, and it helps me buy a camera or something so I can keep this thing going. Bicycle Rider YouTube, Bart Luther, Biloxi Bicycle Works. Have a good night. Thank you.